Okay, as promised, we're gonna do the anatomy of the gun drop that happened on 2 videos ago. I will put that video down in the link below. I had this entire counter splayed out with shit. Things that you always need to keep in your house in case the shit hits the fan. Now obviously, that's the radiator in the background making another noise. Now obviously, if you know this shit is gonna hit the fan, you might want to go out and buy other things, but that was a basic overview of what you should have in the house all the time, no matter what. And there might have been a couple things left out, like a flash. No, that flash, I'm sorry. And if I missed one thing, so what? Now, as I was talking, I'm over here scanning all the shit that was on the counter over here, and I'm jostling shit and knocking shit around. Yeah, I put paper towel underneath everything you see in a lot of videos. I don't know why. I have it for so long, I just do it. Things get scratched, I don't know why. Anyway, I had the gun open like this. And as I'm jostling shit around, the gun falls. It hits this refrigerator magnet from Sorrento, Italy. This refrigerator magnet hits. Knocks the magnet on the floor over here, like that. And as it does that, it does a full flip and flies out, muzzle facing that way, hits the counter, bangs on the counter, and drops down there. The flip happened off camera, but I saw by how the flip. Now, you see me have a lot of videos where I have the gun loaded because it's in my holster. Or if I have the gun loaded, I might be doing an unloading or a loading demonstration. Or, yeah, a couple of times. But if I'm fooling around with the gun, I unload it. Even if I unload it on screen, I unload it before I fool around with it, play with it. See, some people might think, if I'm going to have the gun on the counter and I'm not going to be touching it, I can leave it loaded, not a big deal. Well, if the gun is in the holster retains it. If the gun is in its proper place, you know, the drawer, the box, the safe, it's being held. But if the gun is sitting up like this, and you're fucking with shit over here, blah, 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 okay, the gun is not being held. The gun could slip and fall any second, okay? There could have been an earthquake. I could have farted, and the gun could have fell, which it did. Now, Glock swears by the Bible that their gun will never go off unless you physically pull the trigger. Well, just because that's true, do I want to be the first person to have a negligent discharge without physically touching the trigger? In theory, this gun should not go off, but do I want to bet my life on that? Because you never know what might happen. So that's why you keep the gun unloaded if you're not going to be, you should always keep it unloaded. Unless it's in the holster or in its proper place or being used. If it's in the safe loaded, fine. If it's in your holster loaded, fine. But if you're going to take it out and put it on the counter and fuck with it or whatever, you should unload it because you never know what might happen. Now, I just said a minute ago, do I want to be the first person to fire a Glock without pulling the trigger, whether on purpose or by accident? I'm going to tell you a story right now. I can't be the first because it already happened. This was not in the news, but I know about it because of my hometown, and it was my police department. About 10 years ago, when my mother was their accountant. My mother has since retired. At least 10 years ago, there was a female officer who worked in our town, and I don't know her name. If I did, I wouldn't say it online. She had her gun in the oven. Do you know how some people, yeah, you know where this is going. Do you know how some people put their pots and pans in the oven because they have no storage space? And they take their pots and pans out and then cook and then put the pots and pans back in? Well, she had a gun, it was a Glock, in the oven because that was the proper place. And when she wanted to cook, she would take the Glock out and cook. Well, here's the problem. she was off duty one day. I don't know if she had an off-duty gun or no gun at all, but she's off duty one day, and she's out somewhere, and the gun is in the oven. And the husband decides he wants to cook, and he turns the oven on. And after a while, the gun heated up, and a round exploded and was discharged. The trigger was not pulled, but because of the heat or the inertia, but for some, not a gunsmith, but for some reason, a bullet discharged out of the barrel and fucked up the wall. And she was required to report that to the department because the gun was damaged. And I don't know what happened. Was she suspended? I don't know what happened, but that was a long time ago. It was in my city, and it was kept out of the news. And the only reason why I'm telling you is because it happened over 10 years ago. There are certain stories that happen that I'm not allowed to talk about for many years, but it's over 10 years ago. No one gives a shit, but so you never know what might happen. So, and this was a fucking fluke of, I mean, it went from here to here to here to there. Okay, guys. Yeah, it's a force of habit to put paper towel down because you don't want to either get the counter dirty or scratch whatever. I mean, I don't know where the habit came from, but I've been doing it for so long. I do it robotically. Weird, crazy habits. Okay, thank you.